Greetings, fellow metallurgists, and welcome back to Heavy Metallurgy. I'm Jimmy from the Future Ruins YouTube channel, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the fourth full-length album from Obsidian Tongue, Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn, which is due out on May 30th, 2025 on Profound Lore Records. Obsidian Tongue is a two-piece progressive black metal band from the northeast coast of the United States and currently residing in Portland, Maine. The band has released 3 albums to date on disparate labels, as well as 1 EP and various splits, with their most recent album, Volume 3, in 2020. Vocalist and guitarist Brendan Hayter has continued the band since 2009 and is also a member of other projects such as Namebearer, Shabti, and Throssenblatt, as well as performing live vocals for the Great Obsequii. After Brendan worked with different drummers through the band's early run, Raymond Capizzo joined the project in 2020 on Volume 3. Raymond is also a recognizable member of the long-running Portland, Maine band Falzeraros, as well as providing live drums for Minnesota's Panopticon. If you're unafraid of black metal that incorporates non-black metal influences, Obsidian Tongue is a band that does much experimenting within the genre. You can think stuff like Alda, Falzeraros, Wolves in the Throne Room, Agalok, Fen, Woods of Ypres, and then maybe you could throw in some Alcest in there, Opeth, Catatonia, even a bit of Tool. You might see what I'm getting at here. The third album, Volume 3, was my introduction to the band, as I'm a big fan of the American East Coast black metal scene, and at the time, I was looking for more bands that fit that particular sound. Upon learning that these guys were part of the same circles as other bands in the area, I was intrigued to check them out. Volume 3 displayed a varied and spirited take on US black metal, with a more progressive and soulful approach. A psychedelic stew of black metal and progressive flirtations, Volume 3 is one of those albums that I remember really enjoying, and then I shelved it and honestly forgot about it. So when it was recently announced that the band had signed to Profound Lore for LP4, I quickly awakened from my slumber thinking to myself, oh yeah, I remember that band. That was great stuff. Why the hell haven't I listened to it in so long? Does it ever happen to you? Of course it does. Today's metal landscape offers so much variety in bands that whatever is the buzz of the month is last month's old news. So, as I awaited a promo copy, I familiarized myself yet again with Volume 3. The album immediately drew me in again, and I realized that this is an important band to promote. Put simply, Volume 3 is a damn fine album that flew under the radar of too many. And for me, in revisiting the record, I came back full circle in excitement to delve further back into their catalog, as well as in finding out what was next. So nearly 5 years after Volume 3, how does Album 4 measure up? Let's dig into this thing and get deep. Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn very much picks up where Volume 3 left off. It sounds like the band is past the point of having to further develop their sound, but rather here, they're continuing to improve on a working formula. There is a heightened focus on songwriting and mood, while further incorporating all of their influences into the songs. For the new album, the band went for a more natural and vintage-sounding production at the Mystic Valley Studio in Boston, with studio owner Alex Garcia Rivera. According to their website, Mystic Valley prides itself as one of just a handful of 100% analog recording studios in the world. Now look, the type of digital production that the band refrained from here does have its place in certain types of metal. Sometimes I admittedly like quantized drums or highly processed guitar sounds and fixed digital editing. But there is something to be said for a band that really strives to keep everything old school and live, especially when it comes to black metal as a framework for a more nuanced and varied collection of influences as this band exhibits. The level of songwriting here has a noticeable quality in that it surely took a lot of time to slowly let these songs cook for an overall sense of cohesion and uniformity, rather than they just had a bunch of cool sections and just stitched them together in a piecemeal fashion. For me, it took a good 5 solid listens before this album really stopped me in my tracks. Admittedly, the first couple of listens I had it on my headphones while working on my computer, and this is just not a recommended approach. Every time I listened to it, I remember thinking, man, I do like this, but I'm missing something. I really need to devote my full attention to this thing. This music requires a setting devoid of distractions, and that is not because it is occasionally unlistenable or disjointed in composition. No. It made me want to be fully attentive. I absolutely love a grower album, and I was getting that kind of vibe on Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn. Albums that you like at first, but they beckon you to come back for more. So as I started to work myself up for how to review this, I went for a long walk in my local park on a bluebird day with some higher quality headphones and listened to the album in full for the 5th time. And there, it fully revealed itself to me. Now make no mistake, Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn is at its core a black metal album, chock full of searing vocals and archetypal blast beats, the typical things we like in black metal. But there is so much more going on here. Now I know I cited influences like Tool or Opeth, but that is just a very small but noticeable vibe that I picked up on in some of the guitar and bass parts, particularly when they get to the clean sections. But rather than constant tremolo picking and overly used hyperblasting, the band is able to showcase heaviness through dynamics and massive sounding instrumentation. This is very evident in the first 3 tracks: Orphan Spiritual Warrior, Snakeskin Tunnel Colony, and the title track. Great song titles, by the way. The first 2 come crashing out of the gate with the black metal assault and a sense of melodic urgency that the band typically uses as a framework for the larger progressive mindset of these songs. While the title track takes a more subdued approach in bringing out all the different sides of this band, lots of layered guitars, keyboards, evolving forms of blast beats, transition to more lush psychedelia that really shows off this band's songwriting chops, as well as the very natural qualities of the album's production. Don't let the word prog scare you away if this isn't your thing. The more progressive side of this band is very subtle and mainly comes in the form of the cleaner sections. In fact, I'd say the album is more progressive in theory, rather than in sound and execution, and this is how it succeeds. The dynamics and variety that this band has displayed on previous releases are not at all sacrificed, perhaps only heightened here. I wouldn't call this a riff band. Rather, the heavy guitars drive the melodic nature of the sound with the sort of psychedelic and meditative song structures. The songs don't really call for ripping guitar solos or razor-sharp riffing or isolation of any one particular instrument. Between the guitars, the synths, and particularly the bass, they are blended, layered, and constructed for the benefit of the collective concept. The bass in particular has a thick, resonant tone that differentiates itself from the other instruments. The 4th track, To Forgive Oneself, is a really great example of how this band can navigate through diverse soundscapes, with harsh black metal to beautiful progressive passages and packing a ton of different influences into a well-constructed song. We start with a shoegazy clean guitar intro and quickly transition into a heavy section that mixes between black metal and shoegaze, with layered guitar melodies and a thick bass tone, while Raymond effortlessly switches between the blast beats and more subdued groove and cymbal accents. This section transitions into the clean vocal part to a guitar lead before taking the dynamics down to a clean guitar section and whispery style vocals. Here is then revealed a beautiful clean vocal section that the song has built up to this point in just 4 minutes. The song then gets a bit heavier with the black metal vocals returning, and here's where it gets really interesting. The guitar melody here reminds me a little bit of Tool, and it builds and builds to the ending of the song. This song as a whole flows effortlessly, and this is a very perfect representation of the album as a whole and how the band shows off their knack for superb songwriting ability. The harsh vocals are the typical raspy black metal scream, which are perfectly fine, while the clean vocals have a sort of baritone, gothy Fields of the Nephilim vibe. There is a slight reluctance to the clean vocals, yet it doesn't feel like Brendan is unsure of himself. Rather, it lends to a more honest and live delivery. With eyes not straight ahead, don't look at the face. The drums exhibit the best qualities of the production in that there aren't triggers or Pro Tools magic when it comes to Raymond's ability to dynamically stop and start at a dime. He can effortlessly make the switch from varying blast beat tempos to more restrained, in-the-pocket rock-style drumming. It's not unlike what he brings to his other band, Falls of Rars. The lyrical content and cover art seem to be rooted in metaphysics, the nature and origin of reality itself and the immortal soul, with a nice splash of gloom and despair. I'll admit, I'm really one to be able to dissect lyrics, and when you're delving into philosophy or trying to analyze the human psyche, I personally start to check out a little bit. But that's not to say that there isn't a lot to discover here in the lyrics, if that's your thing. For me, it's an aspect of the album that I'm just going to leave to you, and I'll go back to enjoy what I love the most about it, the music. After the very Opethian instrumental, And Still a Dream, the band rounds out the album with penultimate track, Theater of Smoke and Wind, a triumphant, atmospheric black metal swan song that slowly builds to an extremely satisfying climax to take us out. I love a big, epic final track like this at the end of the record. I mean, records like this, the last song has always got to sell it, and this one, it just, glorious, triumphant, uplifting, heavy, just killer stuff, and I love the way that they went out here. So, to wrap up, Obsidian Tongue, guys, wow. Wow. That's giving you 5 wows, and that's not a rating. I'm just trying to display my enthusiasm for this record. You guys pushed all the right buttons for me, and I really feel spirited away, as I often desire to feel like when I listen to this type of music. I absolutely love it, and can't really find much to complain about whatsoever. I think it's a slight step up from Volume 3 in terms of start to finish quality. I found it to be a more focused effort than before, in that the band really took the time to flesh out these songs and trim the fat. It looks like they're doing some live shows, which I don't think is something they do very often, so make sure and go support them if they're coming to a town near you. Unfortunately for me, out west is probably too far for them right now, but we'll see. You can get the album on CD and vinyl on Profound Lore's merch table website or the Obsidian Tongue Bandcamp page. Go get you a copy and support these guys. So, if you like this review, please subscribe to Heavy Metallurgy. Come join our community. Check out our engaging live streams and our diverse panel of content creators that cover a wide range of extreme music. And come check me out as well on YouTube at Future Ruins, where you can tag along with me on my adventures in the wilderness. As long as I don't get mauled by a bear, thrashed by a bull moose, or summoned to another plane of existence by some unseen force, I will see you next time.